of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next order of business is an invocation. Is there anyone there that would like to give an invocation? Ruth, would you care to give an invocation again? Okay, thank you. Amen. Amen. Hey, Kim, would you call the roll?
Mayor Gatway,
Here.
Alderman Caslow,
Here.
Alderman Gedemeyer,
Here.
Alderman Johnson,
Here.
Alderman Ungerbach,
Going? I don't think. I
Alderman-
think he's off.
okay,
Yeah, he said he wasn't going to be able to attend.
Alderman Wanling.
Here.
Alderman Whitman.
Here. Okay, consent agenda. Anything on the consent agenda? Dave, you want to take the firework off?
I just want to state my objection to fireworks being sold in the city. I'm not going to pull it out and mix up what's going on it. I hope that we don't gain any more fireworks stands. One of them down there on one of the empty lots at Town Square where the weeds grow and all the gravel is unsightly 11 months out of the year. I don't want to see the prairie because they're going to have an empty lot up there. I don't want to see fireworks sold there. Encore is going to have 2 empty lots. I don't want to see fireworks sold from them. So
Okay, so I have had 2 other people request locations for fireworks and said, no, it would never pass. So I kind of have a tendency to agree with you. What we have is plenty. I guess in time it will fade away, maybe.
Our code only allows them in certain locations.
Pardon me?
Our code only allows them in certain locations.
Certain locations, right, right. So, I mean, it's not like
We don't-
anybody
we
can
don't
just
need-
request them.
it's out in the ordinance.
Okay, so, got a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Okay, got a motion by Mark and a second.
Second.
Got a second by Mike. All in favor?
I-
Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. Okay, public comments. Kim?
Yes, Brad Goss.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, my name is Brad Goss, 120 South Central, Suite 700, Clayton, Missouri, 63105. I represent Coleco LLC, the developer of the Prairie Encore project. And as I'm sure the board knows, my client and the city entered into the master development and performance agreement back about a month ago on April 19th. And both the city and my client have an obligation to perform in good faith to implement the requirements of that agreement. So to that end, I am here tonight just to update you on my client's progress and what my client has been doing to implement the agreement. My client has deposited all deposits that have been requested of my client. My client has paid the city roughly $100,000 to reimburse the city for legal fees incurred in connection with the Chapter 100 documents. My client is aggressively moving ahead with all phases of the development. They have been negotiating and entering into leases for the various commercial space and also negotiating sales for outparcels. They have applied for all permits that would certainly be required at this point. They have submitted their final plan application, the final plan itself, received the staff comments, and have revised the final plan per the staff comments and resubmitted it to the city, and they're looking forward to processing that plan with the city. So in sum, my client is moving ahead aggressively as one would certainly expect them to do, and is looking forward to working with the city on this development. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Have any questions? Barb? Dave? Mark? Keith? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Brad.
Arnie Dinoff?
Thank you, members of the Board of Aldermen. My name is Arnie C.A.C. Dinoff, County Public Advocate. And my plea is to residents and to board members who disagree with the Calico, Prairie Encore project. There is another way to crush and to stop this project. The next opportunity to weigh in on the Prairie Encore project is Thursday, May 25th, before the O'Fallon City Council at 7:30 p.m. where citizens can testify against the road agreement between the city of Darden Prairie, the city of O'Fallon, and Calico LLC, Tom Kamens and Jim Cook. Bill number 7560 offers future roadway funding improvements at Bryan Road and Feisey Road in an intergovernmental agreement. Phase 1 is signalization of Cora Marie, Bryan Road. Phase 2 is intersection improvements. Design must be done by December 31st of 2029. Phase 3 is road improvements along Bryan Road to Route 364. Design needs to be completed by December 31st, 2032. Each city shall negotiate securing funds from the developer. We just heard from the high price paid Clayton attorney for the developer. In my opinion, negotiations aren't going too smoothly between the city of O'Fallon and the developer in terms of the developers paying their fair share. And I have a problem with that, and I'm trying to demise and to crush this project. There's a lot of documents that need to be read and understood, and you could go to o'fallon.mo.us under the May 11th City Council meeting to read those documents with schedules attached. If you have any problems, please contact me 314-440-9000 or arniedinoff@yahoo.com, and I'll give you a link to those documents. Bill number 7561 is dedication of right-of-way with Calico LLC, City of Darden Prairie, and the City of O'Fallon. In my opinion, it's an unfair agreement. I would encourage residents to show up and lobby faithfully against bills 7560 and 7561. These favored the developers, and the rest of the project is put on the backs of taxpayers, which is very unfortunate because the developers are going to make millions, and they're close to getting to their first $1 billion with their regional developments in St. Charles County. To testify, you must complete a public comment card and have it handed in to the mayor on the dais before the start of the meeting. I would like to ask that the Board of Aldermen reconsider and disapprove the development agreement with Calico LLC. I think it's in the preview of the new Board of Aldermen. A few of you were not on this board. I believe the vote is changed, and I'd like the development to cease and to stop immediately. Thank you.
Roxanne?
Good evening, Mayor Gotway and Board of Aldermen. My name is Roxanne Filson, and my husband and I reside at 501 Creel Court in the Inverness subdivision. My background is in the field of education. I've served as a classroom teacher, building principal, district administrator, and recently retired after a decade of serving as a field-based consultant, supporting the state's most challenged schools and school districts in the state of Illinois. Very soon, our students and classroom teachers will exit their schools to begin their traditional summer break. However, there's still much work to be done. The district superintendent, the chief financial officer, and the members of the executive cabinets work year-round. In June, it's common for district and school leadership, along with key community stakeholders with whom relationships have been developed, to review progress towards goals and determine course corrections needed. I'm wondering if the districts serving Darden Prairie students have invited a representative from the city's leadership to attend their review meetings. And conversely, has the city also invited district leaders to conversations about city's plans and goals? Strong relationships between school and city officials strengthen both systems. So I encourage you to please reach out to your district's leaders. After all, they don't take summer break. Thank you very much.
Okay, Kim?
Cheryl Bratton.
My name is Cheryl Bratton. My husband Larry and I live on Cruden Bay Court in Inverness subdivision. Early settlers on this prairie understood how limited their textile resources were. And as a result, every household would have owned at least one quilt similar to the one in the photo I placed at your seats this evening. No thought or care was given to the use of compatible materials, colors, or design. They used what little fabric and time they had, and as a result, created blankets that today we call crazy quilts. Barely 2.5 years ago, the same time our house was under construction, four of you were part of a unanimous vote approving $47,071.20 as payment for the 2020 reworking of the city's comprehensive plan. Another $2,000 was spent on the comp plan in 2021. I don't have a problem with the nearly $50,000 the city dropped for the extensive reworking of the plan, but I do have a problem with the board approving Vision 2020, writing the check, and then especially as it relates to the Prairie Encore, three of you ignoring the plan and blowing that same $50,000. Unlike those who came before you in Darden Prairie, you were completely okay with wasting material, except in this case, it's called taxpayer money. Under planning and zoning, the city has paid nearly $25,000 to PGAV planners and for other unnamed studies since 2020. 10,000 more has been set aside for that same purpose in 2023. My assumption is that the 10K under planning and zoning is for an independent traffic study for Bryan and Ficey. If that's not the case, please indicate where the traffic study is listed in the revised 2023 budget and clarify as how the city intends to use the money currently earmarked for P&Z. If the traffic study is not included in the 2023 budget, the taxpayers deserve an explanation as to why that legitimate citizen request has been ignored. And for the sake of transparency, in the 2023 actual budget and beyond, the citizens also request that the city itemize what those studies are actually used for. The people who created crazy quilts didn't follow patterns, but it's clear the city is. Just as money was squandered on the 2020 comprehensive plan, you're doing the same thing with the city's $10,000 annual EDC membership. In March, Scott Drachnik, president of the Economic Development Council of St. Charles County, pointed out that Darden Prairie is the only municipality in the county without an economic incentives policy. Among other services, the EDC provides members with assistance developing economic incentive policies, branding, and marketing. It's like a gym membership. The city pays the fee, fails to take advantage of the advice and services, and then struggles to achieve the desired results. Despite the city's supposed dire financial straits, the city of Darden Prairie has access to and has paid for a wealth of unused knowledge and materials. The patchwork approach was once appropriate for life on the prairie, but that's no longer the case. As you approve the revised budget, only pay for what you're actually going to use.
Terry Hall. Terry. Terry Hawes.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Hawes. I live in Whispering Pines. I wasn't prepared to talk tonight, so I didn't bring my glasses, so bear with me. I heard some people or some of you talking tonight when we're discussing inspections, and a comment was made, if the house burns down, it's not the city's problem. Inspections not only protect the buyer, it also protects the people living next door and around them. If the house burns down due to faulty wiring, those around them can be affected as well. We've seen this multiple times, like with the house that blew up when Gateway hit the gas line. It melted the siding on the houses next door, and some of their roofs caught on fire. The private inspector does not come back and reinspect. I know people, buyers, that agreed to fix issues, but never fixed those issues, and then later sold the homes as they were when they moved in. We should continue to protect the high standards of our city. Just because other cities did away with something doesn't mean Dardenne Prairie has to. It's not always wise or prudent to follow the crowd. Thank you.
Rich Linderman.
Good evening, and thanks for the opportunity to talk to you. I live in Parkshire. I kind of want to echo one of the things Arnie brought up, that you guys can and should consider rescinding what you've done with Prairie Encore. I know I'm probably spitting in the wind, as I can tell by your look on your face, Mr. Mayor, but it's something the Board of Aldermen should do. The residents have spoken loud and clear. They are against it. And I think I'll be happy to be, what was Arnie said, try to city of O'Fallon not to go along with putting access to Bryan Road. I noticed in your budget, we've got there's a significant decrease in the amount of court revenue generated. So evidently that's probably due to the fact that DJ is no longer one of the sheriffs working on Bryan Road, because he pretty much paid for, I think, city government. He paid for this building on the revenue that he got off that. It would be kind of nice if we had police protection along that road, considering the amount of traffic that's on it. I tried pulling out of there, and I got to wait a lot to get out. Cars are flying down that road now. So I think it would be great if you guys could get some police coverage on that road and increase your revenue there. I also note you've got an awful lot of training and miscellaneous expenses in your budget, which I forgot to bring the sheet that I had it all written down what they were. But that looks like you're trying to hide stuff when your training budget goes up significantly, when your workforce doesn't. That's kind of shady. When your miscellaneous expenses go up, but there's no real things that are defined in it. Just re-examine that stuff and quit trying to pull something over us. Thank you.
Move into public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak on the public hearing tonight on the rezoning? Okay, okay. I just got where P and Z continued it, so, yeah, so we'll, got a motion to continue the public hearing to the next meeting.
Second.
Got a second by Keith, all in favor? Any opposed? Hear none, we're gonna continue the, public hearing to the next meeting. New business. Got a motion to rebuild 2321 for the first time.
Moved.
I so moved. Mark seconds, all in favor? James, will you rebuild 2321?
Sure. Bill 2321, an ordinance of the city of Dardenne, Prairie, Missouri, approving the amended record plat for the Prairie and authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plat.
Hey, any discussion or debate?
Just so I know that the question was asked of me already, but I'll make clear for everyone. So there is no changes to the plat. When the plat was approved by this board previously, the Recorder of Deeds did not feel that there was sufficient clarification to delineate that each individual lot on the villas were actual separate lots. So they requested additional information be added to the plat to, before they would accept that. If you go to the GIS right now, it shows not individual lots because they just wouldn't accept it until they replatted it. So we had to do a technical amendment to the plat, though it's just additional information. It's not any change to any boundaries or anything.
More clerical.
Correct.
Okay, Any dis-
Rebuild 23,
got a motion by Mark to rebuild 2321 for the second time. Mike seconds. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. James, will you rebuild 2321 for a second time?
Sure. Bill 2321, an ordinance of the city of Dayton, Prairie, Missouri, approving the amended record plat for the Prairie and authorizing the city clerk to attest and certify approval of said plat.
Any discussion or debate? Hearing none, I'll move for a motion to, or a roll call vote. We need
Motion for roll call
vote. Sorry. And a motion by Mark, second by Mike. All in favor? Kim, would you call the roll?
Alderman Caslow.
Aye.
Alderman Wanling.
Aye.
Alderman Wideman.
Aye.
Alderman Gettemeyer. Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Ordinance 2248.
I declare Bill 2321 as ordinance 2248. Motion to rebuild 2322 for the first time. Got a motion by Mark. Second. Got a second? Second. Mike? All in favor? Any opposed? There none? James, will you rebuild 2322 for the first time?
Bill 2322, an ordinance revising the budget for the city of Dayton, Prairie, Missouri for the fiscal year commencing January 1, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2023.
Any discussion or debate? Got a motion to rebuild 2322 for a second time. Second. Got a second by Mike. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none. James, will you rebuild 2322? Second time.
Bill 2322, an ordinance revising the budget of the city of Dayton, Prairie, Missouri for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2023. Motion for roll call vote.
Got a motion for a roll call vote? Second? Second. Right? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Kim, would you call the roll?
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Wideman.
Aye.
Alderman Gettemeyer. Alderman Wanling.
Aye.
Alderman Caslow.
Aye.
Ordinance 2249.
I declare Bill 2322 as ordinance 2249. Okay, old business. Okay, so Bill 2309, I met with the Howertons this morning and they requested to update the annexation agreement to clarify a few things. They weren't sure about them requesting rezoning. They just wanted it to be left zoned the same, but giving them a PUD to continue operating his small engine repair business. So I think I got that from John last Friday. And Howertons were out of town until this morning. I brought it to them and they said that they would have it notarized and brought in for next meeting. So I got a requesting to extend our
Motion to postpone Bill 2309 to the next meeting.
got a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Bill 2309 will be postponed until the next meeting. Okay. Bill 2318. Same, pretty much the same thing. we talked about that. That was a public hearing to division. We're still trying to get everything nailed down. It went back to, planning and zoning.
Postpone bill 23.
Had a motion to postpone Bill 2318 to the next meeting. Second, Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, Bill 2318 will be postponed until the next meeting. Bill 2319. Okay, got a motion to read Bill 2319 a second time.
Second.
Oh, second.
Second, Mark
We had
first.
double seconds.
Thought he said he had a motion.
I entertain a motion.
Tanner,
I think I said I had a
First, or second time.
second time, second reading. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, James, will you read Bill 2319 for a second time?
Bill 2319, an ordinance of the city of Dartmouth, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement with Brunette Enterprises LLC for the management and operation of the city's concession stand facility at City Hall Park. Motion for roll call.
Wait.
We do need for a second. It looks like this was revised. Do we need to adopt a revision?
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
okay, yeah. So
Adopted revised.
And
it was in the packet, right?
I'm sure it was. I did not notice that this was revised. Could you give us a synopsis real quick on what was revised now?
Sure. No offense to attorneys, but when they come up with agreements, there's a lot of superfluous stuff in there. So one of which was, I think that one of the things I took out was, originally, going back years ago, we used to open the concession stand on Saturday and Sunday. We don't do that. That was partially in there. But also, there was a provision which stated that all items being sold there had to come and be part of the agreement, and the pricing all had to be adopted by us. It's just, so those two exhibit parts were taken out. But otherwise, it's actually more true to what was originally what we've been operating under. I guess a couple years ago, years ago now, we had extended the original agreement with Mr. Burnett. I asked John to work a new agreement, John Young, our city attorney, and we came up with this agreement. As we went through it, there were some things that really were not part of the original agreement, nor did the current vendor, or I think was really necessary. We never have, at least in the last 2 years I've been here, dictated what his menu is or the pricing of the menu. So that was removed out. And then they've been open on a Saturday and Sunday except on tournament days. How long? So those are the only two revisions.
I'm not going to object to removal of the exhibits. I do like the idea of pricing controls that further servicing the patrons of our parks and not, because of their exclusivity and location running up to Disney World price levels. But I would like to see, and I don't know if I said this last time, would like to see next shins go up for public bid and everyone has a chance at the space given to the same thing I had last time. So while I don't object to passing this tonight, I would like to see that next year.
I think the last, at one point we were talking to at least two other people who had shown interest and they have interest in it. And so we just went with our same vendor as we've had a relationship with them. And I think my understanding was we didn't even have any applicants the last. So we were hoping to get some this time. We didn't seem to drum up any interest in just the conversation we had. And we just, I think, really kind of ran short on time at the time the season started.
Understood. And I don't want any of my comments to be taken as me being dissatisfied with our current vendor. They
Sure,
do.
just competition, absolutely.
I appreciate the synopsis. So I'll move for a roll call vote.
So we have to have a
Oh,
motion
sorry.
to amend,
Motion to amend.
okay?
Second.
Got a motion to amend, second by Keith. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we will amend the concession stand agreement. One that's in the packet. Okay,
Move for roll call vote.
got a motion for a roll call vote,
Okay.
second by Mark. Kim, would you call the roll?
Alderman Wanling,
Aye.
Alderman Whitman,
Aye.
Alderman Gettemeyer, Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Costello.
Aye.
Ordinance 2250.
I declare Bill 2319 as ordinance 2250. Okay, we'll move to staff communication, city attorney.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Okay, you're up, Tom.
Okay, well, I have my bi-weekly report that should have been forwarded to you. And of James in our office met to adjust and amend the MS4 report that has been tracked, and we've made some nice improvements in tracking different things about detention basins and site improvement plans and SWIP plans. Also of note, I came from the road board meeting where we presented. I would encourage you to take a look. I won't run through it, but it's about a 15-minute presentation of both Hanley Road and Post. As you know, we were awarded Post Road tentatively, subject to East West Gateway approval and at the end of June, early July, for phase one. And it's outlined in this summary email for you to show you one of the big improvements is the connection at Technology Drive, changing how that connection comes in. Then first phase is to make it to the second Post Meadows entrance down basically to the bottom of the hill. To receive the grant based on splitting it up, we got points based on that. The second part of our presentation was the continued request for the Hanley Road construction funds that I believe was received favorably. They asked for us to pay 20%. They are going to pay 80%. So that's a change from what we requested to STP. We didn't get that STP grant. Of course, last year we got the Town Square. This year we got the Post Road Phase 1. But we did not receive the Hanley construction money, but it should be, it's outlined in here. I think James can inform you more of that in his report. But that's all I have.
Can I ask a question on that? Because it seems like, what's our increase, like $60,000 or something thereabouts on that?
Yes, sir.
If we held off until next year, do you think that we would have a shot at getting the federal funds?
Well, they have given us the money to do the engineering. So so that part, the road board has already received that. It is our intent to start that design of that project. I caution because the condition is, even with this, it's still a process that will take probably another year or more. Yeah, even though we don't need right-of-way acquisition or any of that sort of easements. It's just another delay and you're still jeopardizing whether or not you will actually get that federal money.
One of the other things we need to recognize too, and I got to give Tom a lot of credit for, he's batting pretty well for getting his road board. It's a point system, so it based on how the design is, how it meets the criteria, and then of course Tom's charm, I'm sure, helps as well. But quite seriously, if you look at the STP grants, the points of who makes it, doesn't. Post Road, we firmly got that grant. We barely missed on Hanley, but Tom's point, we also have a Henning Road bridge that needs to be done. We've got Post Road Phase 2.
Weldon Springs.
Spring
Weldon
Road.
Springs is huge.
So we've got
Yeah.
quite a few, and it's unlikely, even though we've almost got 2 in a year, which would be like unprecedented compared to if you look at what, unless you're St. Louis County or St. Charles County municipalities, we're not racking up 2 and 3 of these a year. For Little Darden Prairie to be doing this, I mean, we're punching above our weight. So
Well, that's an excellent point about James. We do have other needs for other streets, and I will also point out, most other municipalities, especially in the St. Louis County area, their standard matches.
We're, Darton Prairie's, I mean, this is kind of unprecedented that they're gonna, road board's gonna kick in where the federal government didn't. That's huge. Be nice if they did that on all our projects, but they don't. But they recognize this is in front of City Hall. We've got a church and two schools essentially. And it's, you know, a main arterial connector between Faisy and Town Square. So, I mean, I would hate to turn down the money because I don't think I think we said no to them. They'll just spend it on something else.
Yeah.
And they're rolling the dice with beds.
And may I also point out that $50,000 that they contributed to the engineering or getting ready to start would actually bring our percentage down probably closer to 10%. When you factor that into the overall scheme of things. And they're not requesting reimbursement for that money.
So when do you have to give them the?
Well, I don't,
They wanted to know tonight.
I think it goes hand in hand. Because I think they still have to deliberate. There was a lot of projects presented from a lot of cities. And some of those are gonna get denied. I don't think ours will get denied, but I think that still remains to be seen. I think they want to know, are we in support before they authorize that?
We have the staff on our side at this point, which is half the battle. Now, I mean, the board ultimately has to still approve, to Tom's point.
So it is additional money over and above without the feds. It's still a very good deal. And like you said, it's, when you look at the total project cost, it's less than 20%. It may be at 10 to 15% effectively.
Okay, so, I'm sure. Thoughts?
When you're saying variability in the percentage, the hard numbers that you, that were presented tonight, I don't know if you said them here, but presented to the report of 90,000 from the city, is that affirmed? That doesn't change?
So like any other project, that's the maximum that they will put in. The city share can vary based on bids, current pricing and those things. So,
Okay.
Pricing has stabilized better this year. But there's no guarantee. These are conceptual estimates from over 2 years ago. Again, nice that prices seem to have stabilized, especially in asphalt. Concrete, not as much. Concrete prices is still high because there's more demand and less contractors doing that work. There's more contractors doing asphalt. So feel better about the Hanley Road mill and overlay project than if it was all new curb and gutter, et cetera.
So 2 years ago, I rode with NV West. They have this system called Nova Chip, which is just an overlay. And to do Hanley Road with that, it's just like a 2-inch overlay, but it, you know, it's.
Well, Mayor, it's actually less than that. It's less than an inch.
Oh, less than
Nova
that.
Chip is
Okay.
a trade
Yeah.
name.
Right.
The MoDOT has what's called U-balls, ultra thin bonded asphalt living surface. And you'll see it on highways and things, but it's a 3/4 to 1 inch process. It's basically a hybrid between a slurry seal and an overlay. And there's only 2 people in this area that do that work.
Okay, but what I'm saying, all I'm gonna say is that they said that, 8 years would be about what we could expect out of it. And it was over $100,000 to do Hanley Road.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that was going into it with us funding it. I don't think St. Charles, any of this grant money is gonna pay for that. So
No, the road board may not support that.
that was,
for this
yeah, and that was over 2
application.
years ago. So I think this is a really good deal for the city. I mean,
Yes.
Laura, thoughts?
I don't have.
I mean, can we tell them, go forward with it? Would you approve it in the budget? I guess is what I'm saying. Cause they need to know.
It is an uncomfortable on the spot kind of question.
Yeah, it's terrible. Why am I getting?
Well,
We're gonna ask everybody.
Well,
We're going
I'm
down.
not sure. Like, how's that?
Okay.
for you? Sure.
Okay, Dave?
I'm in the same place. I'm not sure.
Huh?
I don't see any reason why not to move forward, but I think we should vote on it. It's on the agenda.
Well,
It sounds like.
You
the,
will.
Well,
You're-
you
you're
will.
Still gonna be in agreement with the road board. It's gonna be,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a road board agreement, but I mean, just like we seek direction
You know,
to
I don't have a problem with it.
make applications. It's we're just-
Cause if everybody says no, then we just kill it and say, so, okay, we'll live with what we got. You know? So. Okay, Keith?
Only being on this board for about a month, just wading into this and listening to this dialogue. Hard for me to give an educated opinion on what left and right says. I haven't read anything about it. So this is kind of my first exposure to it, just totally honest. So if I'm gonna vote on something, I'd like to have more foundation. 5-minute dialogue is the basis.
Well, the
of-
foundation is the St. Charles County has given us over 400,000 to mill and overlay and redo Hanley Road. And our portion is going to be like after the 50,000 that he gave us was going to be, they estimated $90,000.
I guess.
So now, to what extent,
Is there a time frame that we have to vote on it tonight after a 5-minute dialogue, or is there?
there's
Just,
just given us an idea, should we move forward with this?
So to be clear, there's no.
Getting a proposal that to vote, is that what we're? I guess I'm trying.
Yes, we will.
Okay, well, I think that, yes, and I think that's my understanding, if that's what we're voting on, moving forward with the proposal, but then vote on it.
It's not,
Sounds,
yeah,
sounds fair to me.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
may I give a little more history?
yeah, go ahead.
So 2 years ago, we applied for Hanley Road, the mill and overlay, the engineering, everything. That was the same year that we did receive Town Square project for funding. So we did not get it because most, especially the smaller cities, usually don't get one project. A lot of the bigger cities get multiple, but so received Town Square, we didn't receive the Hanley Road, and we requested federal money, requested, the full Monty, so to speak. Didn't get it because of points. It's all based on points, and a lot of it has to do with traffic volume. Although we have a fair amount of traffic here that we all acknowledge is speeds a lot. It still doesn't meet the criteria of some of the other road projects around the county that are funded, like improvements to Bryan Road or improvements to bigger road projects, okay? But yet I said to the county road board once, he said, hey, would you consider funding it just through the road board? He said, well, how about you do this? This was last year. They said, well, we'll fund the engineering for it, but we want you to reapply this past February, next cycle. So we followed their instructions, knowing that we had the money for the 50,000 to start the engineering. They said, if you do that, and then you also, as a city, reapply for the construction money, then we'll fund the engineering. If you don't, they basically, and Amanda from the road board said, if you don't get, after you reapply through East West Gateway and don't get the construction money, then we'll fund our share with the road board at this. So we did not get the East West Gateway federal money, which our participation would then have only been roughly $20,000 or $19,000. But we followed their instructions. East West Gateway didn't fund the federal, like James indicated. There's a list of projects in there. There's more money, there's not enough money, too many projects, but we just made that cut. We made the cut above for Post Road. We didn't make the Miami Road. But since they said that you reapply, we'll still get you a big chunk of money for the construction, even if you don't get the federal East-West Gateway. That's really the timeline and the history and why the money went up higher, participation from the city, because the federal money was not allocated. But yet the road board said, if you do this, then we'll still fund. And one of the reasons why I feel good at this, they will follow through if you all decide to, is because it's not a big hit against the road board, like some of these other projects that presented tonight, asking for millions of dollars. So our project should be, if you all agree, I believe they will agree, funding percent of the construction, already funded the 50,000. That's more of a detailed history.
Thank you.
And I do understand coming into this blindly that, okay, well, all of a sudden, but this is just, I think, a consensus that James is asking for. Because there's still a chance they could say, well, yeah, your board supports it, great, but we're still not going to fund it. I don't think that's what they're going to do, because they verbally and in email had said, if you do steps, we fund up to this.
Just so that our new board members also know too. So we understand the financial situation of the city as it pertains to funds that we typically spend on transportation related issues. And we have a transportation sales tax fund. We have capital improvement fund. We also have special revenue fund. I mean, between those three funds right now, even after all expenses at the end of this year, we have $3.5 million dedicated towards this purpose. So it's not putting anything in jeopardy. It's not putting anything that's currently programmed in jeopardy or concerned about not being able to pay for other pre-programmed budgetary items. We do have money for these purposes available. In fact, we've run over a $200,000 surplus in transportation sales tax as it stands now. So quite able to pay for this purpose, for these purposes with the money available.
And I very much respect what Mike has said, should be waiting until after, but due to the fact that we have theoretically a bird in the hand, we have a deteriorating condition out here that is not obviously better. It's the face of our city. And we do have some of these other grants, for instance, next year, Post Road Phase 2, that we will reapply, will likely apply for. And there's other roads that are still eligible, such as slab replacements on Bates, Clore. I mean, we have other needs. I just hate to see us pass up the burden. But obviously, it's not my decision.
Well, I think I'd just like to say thank you for that very comprehensive explanation. It's much appreciated, and also thank you, James, for helping dovetail into that. So that being said, like that's helping me kind of understand, and also understanding that it's giving the nod to move forward to striking while the iron's hot, so to speak. Over now. Yeah, that being said, it sounds like we should take advantage of the opportunity. Thank you.
We would have done more to educate you on this prior to, but they literally emailed us earlier today and was like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I'll ask them in a couple hours.
Yeah, I understood. Just wanted to make sure that everybody here is aware that I'm not going to vote on something.
What it is,
Well,
I was like,
I understand it, and I promise we just in a bad position because I'm the new guys.
Yeah, and then literally I drove I thought I was going to be late from the road board to here, so that there's no delay in this information. Firsthand information.
Okay,
And just to clarify my comment earlier, it kind of feels like someone knocked the ice cream cone out of my hand right now, and I feel really bad that, more ultimately though. Two things here. is it still worth it to the city? I think it is. The fact that the road board step or promised to step up and fill the gap. Regardless, I would thank them and tell them we want to continue inviting them to our birthday parties and we are their bestest of best friends. That is a statement from them and support Garden Prairie. So while I don't like it, I would.
My last comment, Mayor, would be that the road board is a great asset that we have out here in St. Charles County. Continue to work with them and they coached us along through this process. I suggest we follow their coaching on this one. And go across the river, there is no road board. We would automatically be paying 20% of everything, including engineering, right away, all that, all these projects that we're. It's a big deal. Thank you.
Okay. The administrator.
I'll just make one comment about, there was some questions about some of the items in our budget. One of the things that, we've talked about and we hopefully, will, this next budget cycle, able to go through a process that has a little bit more detail as far as what are the items that go into each line item. It's something that I've had to get used to since coming here, coming from a community where our budget binder was 3 inches thick of details, to a community that has 2 pages of Excel spreadsheet. So that is something that has been a priority. It's been something that's been on my mind, something I've discussed with the mayor many times and him as well. So that is something that we would like to, this next cycle, improve upon, not just for the education of our board members, especially considering we have 2 new board members, but obviously for purposes of transparency and understanding for the residents as well. Mr. Linder, just so you know, we did hire a couple new guys, and one of the things that we've been aspiring to do is do more work in-house. And I met with Tom earlier this week to talk about some of the things, especially some of the inspections related to our MS4 permit and other things that we can do in-house. And so we did up our training budget this year because we've engaged in a significant amount of training. I spent what's that day? I don't know, Thursday or whatever, over in a creek in Wentzville, learning how to do water tests, water quality tests with our staff. So things that previously we would have done contracted out, but things that we're learning, having our staff learn to do in-house to save us money, both on consulting fees and because we have both new staff and staff that has additional skill sets that we didn't previously have in-house. So that is continuously an effort that the city's undertaking to try to elevate what we can do internally to improve not only the quality of services that we provide to our residents, but it helps us to provide them to you faster. We don't have to rely on either outside contractors or St. Charles County to come do it for us. So that is something that we've made tremendous strides in and take great pride in. So, but all of those things, hopefully, all of you will continue to participate in future meetings when we do undertake our budgetary process. And then hopefully those things will become evident to you about what we're actually doing internally and what we're spending money on and how we're trying to get the biggest bang for your buck. Garden Prairie. So that's all I have.
Okay. I want to just give a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I have.
Oh, Alderman.
Yeah. Yeah. He tries to forget about us. We don't let him.
I'm sorry. I missed you. Good.
I think Keith would go first.
Yeah, so as always, I want to thank you all for coming out here tonight and participating in the democratic process. I really appreciate you taking the time to go up here and share your concerns, issues, and recommendations. I also want to thank the 2 gentlemen in the back from St. Charles County Sheriff's Office for coming in here and helping make sure this forum is conducted in a safe and healthy manner. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Mike?
One thing I did want to remind everybody about, I sent out an email containing some of the language for economic incentive guidance that included for the application of everyone out here. And if anyone is interested to see what was sent out, send me an email, I'll send it to you. Open and transparent. But I sent out the language that we had back in December over economic incentive guidance that was taken from other municipalities around, tried and true, well-worn, and very similar, so we're not conflicting with our neighbors. But also after talking to Scott out of the EDC, he recommended some additional measures similar to what Wentzville and Weldon Springs are doing, tying some of these economic incentives to actual job creation of quality jobs. So I sent out all that information. Feel free to look that up. I'll send it to you. But I look forward to having that conversation over the next month or so. It is something I think we should do deliberatively. We shouldn't rush to it, even though it is a well-worn path. So on the next workshop, I'd like to have some more discussion about it, and maybe beginning of July, have something ready for vote and implementation. So just letting you guys know what I plan on standard bearing.
Okay, I'm just gonna add,
Something and I'm like,
yeah, I'm just gonna add that when it comes to the incentive policy, James and I have all that information from the EDC. And same stuff Scott has given us, been talking with Scott about a policy. But right now, you're in conversations with a project called Project Action that, yeah, okay, so anyway, until we get through those conversations with them, which have been all closed session, which we can't divulge any of this information yet, okay? That's how it works. It's how the process works in every city, not just this city. So until we get that decided with the board, I don't think it's prudent to go forward with a policy. So
I think this is, yeah, I think this is the best time to work through that policy, informed by the landscape around us. And it's something we could take into account.
before we,
Sure, we at least need, I don't think there's anything that precludes us from having the conversation, and, I mean, even if we put the policy in place, I would hope that whatever we work out with any prospective developers matches the intent as a policy. So I do still intend to bring it forward, in the workshop next meeting.
okay.
I have nothing.
Yeah, get a motion.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay. Got a second?
No, I'm fine.
You have something? Or,
No, I'm gonna go over the bill with James and find out where those plans are. So
okay,
I said I'd do that to me. Thank you.
okay, so got a motion, you have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Bye.
Any opposed? Hear none, the Board of Aldermen meeting is adjourned.
Keith.
About.
I see you for a few minutes.
You're not gonna. All right, but at least you're gonna, you know, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so it was just on, it's on. February. So, yeah, they, yeah. Yeah, no. And so, like, the, building inspector and Terry knows, that she's approved, and then they'll reach out to you to let you know what happened. Yeah, nope, you're good. You're welcome. Actually had a good point about the addresses. Because don't I remember, I was gonna talk to him if I could catch him. Don't I remember the night when EJ was up there and didn't want to tell anybody where he lived? Yeah.
No, I was pretty sure it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so we canceled his EJ or Alderman Doug Terry. We've canceled that one. I don't know, I have it, I just don't know, we just don't know if I have his current.
So.
My office and,
Send me.
see what we have, or I'll call him and see what I should be giving out. Yeah, what he's okay with giving out. And then I'll.
Hey, Lenny, what's the date of the meeting?
Your telephone number.
The residents. In their yards.
Okay. Oh, yep, sure.
And I, let's check that. As far as what that's. The real. What do we do? It's a road starts and it's unslide, but they were able to move the side. This. Focus. So in Dan, this presentation piece, right? You saw on this. He's doing it's like 95% done for like 2 weeks. About this. I mean, there's I think that you really need to see this fight like that, because that's gonna be what it is.
Well, because you're not spending money.
I think she's some kind of conceptual of that. So up until we. So we got to the point where we do this kind of thing, shoot balls. Unless you're.
That's one.
So that's what I had to answer.
Sign off on this.
But that's sometimes progress needs to change.
Yep.
Will eventually show on the final plans.
You basically can provide information about revenues, things that could
This place.
get shared with zero.
Yeah.
That's.
You have to see the information, like. The few of us who. So I think it's. And.
It's an NDA. So if you want to be here, that's.
It's just the retail. Trying to go in, it just, you know, Like, you don't, like, when they forget money, which just.
There's a lot of things.
The transit. Just the general.
One thing.
So it's easy to go and look and see, like, this is what we're doing. And I think like when you say.
Talk to him.
It makes more sense on some of this stuff.
Well, that's all I can.
Well, I don't necessarily. Something from Dan Cheney, talked about JC having.
No, see, like, you told residents. But if you can't get money, we're really.
I was really hoping I would get plans. I was hoping to have about Monday. I was.
Yes. Okay, that's the one.
This month.
Oh.
I said, told him, I said.
Well, it is like you're on a truck.
Right.
But that's not.
I could have somebody post the plan. Send me a link. I should just. All those.
So I can remember and ask you, because anything's going to send that yet. What do you think? Yeah.
Yes, in the file.
That would do, so when they do the,
Or something like that.
round.
As soon as we. Dan is gonna.
I do.
As soon as we have hard and fast, this is first we will be able to use.
You gotta
say, this is where.
So it's like a guy wants to 52 years.
Well,
No,
it's
I
a
read
big.
five
He's
years.
telling me like 1 more week. So that's been my last.
Tired.
Kids are target waiting, and really would like some sort of
So it's like,
engagement with, you know.
it's just like that. We're gonna be-
So.
I'd like. It's not something to get it. I've been up there, but
Like, yeah, I really appreciate it. I want to do it. But it's just.
I. We answer our questions. That's all we do and stuff. And I feel like that's nice. Yeah. Wait, I'm on this, I'm like. Yeah, sounds like, and it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, there's no right of way, there was striping and the business arrows.
Not invasive.
No, in fact, it'll make some sharrows for like the lane.
I think my concern.
Oh, bikes and stuff, okay, like they have on, yeah, there's.
Hey, Arnie, when's that meeting? They call it.
People are.
Needs to be. Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Oh, shit, that's the same line of my.
Post roads.
Yeah, so you can't show up anymore. Which I get it. If you get done. Cause I moved the meeting at 6 o'clock there, so I could be done. I don't know, because I was.
That might be.
No.
Too.
So, I'm not. I think it's, I think I don't mind time ago. What?
I did come in. Well, they know in and out. As far as the concession stand.
Good, so if you come late.
It says there's 4 managers.
So we have. It never was. A line item here, budget as far as the cost. But John's book. The right of way. It's still blowing up there.
Their work is to get.
Debbie cookies.
She seemed like she. I have no.
Don't stick to what kind of. But I cut them. So what do you want? So we're not.
Of course. But either way, so what do you think is, what am I gonna do? To be honest. I just want to make sure we're serving. I was like, that's organic there. Yeah. Last right.
It's all kinds of shit going around. It's everybody, it's blaming everybody. I think so. The unions blaming them, and the members blaming that, the officials are blaming, and it's crazy.
Somebody an anonymous. My tongue, because it's, I mean, you know, legends.